Morning on a Sunday, and it's a good weekend too, as well, isn't it? Notts County have won 10 points out of 12. Hope everyone enjoyed that yesterday. One of the things, so new show today, which will pilot, bit more of a considered look back on the Sunday, look back at Notts and League Two in general. Um, what are our thoughts? What are our thoughts? I'll tell you one thing I want to discuss today. For me, we're starting to see um, a real change, if you like, in playing philosophy, the way we play, more of the dark arts. Don't have to play well to win. One member of our flock said to me, "That's the way you've got to start the show." I think we're becoming potentially, what do you think, more of a mainstream League Two side? If you look at those teams that have been promoted out of League Two while we've been in it for the past two seasons, Doncaster, Bradford, Mansfield, Wrexham, Port Vale, can't remember them all. But there was a certain uh, um, level of characteristics and style in which they played. You know, Wimbledon taught us a lesson in how to get to beat us and get through a playoff campaign, didn't they, last year? And I think under Martin, we're seeing a lot more of those traits. Uh, and to an extent, a ditching, if you like, of some of that more um, uh, uh, possession football in our own third, where we have 83% possession, complete twice as many passes as any other team, all of that sort of thing. I noticed that he called out Jack Hinchy at Lincoln, didn't he, for that pass in the final third in our box that led to a goal. What are your thoughts? Is it me? Is it a tweak, I think, as Martin said in his excellent interview after the game? Don't want to judge managers by their post-game press conferences or pre-game press conferences, but I thought he was absolutely bang on yesterday in everything that he said. So your thoughts on that league table as it stands? I've got it somewhere in front of me. So mid-table, 2 points off playoffs. Um, Four off automatic, and if you're a bit of a pessimist, seven off the bottom two. But you only had to look yesterday, didn't you, at selection of results? Chesterfield hitting a little bit of a wobble. Walsall, I think, doing a lot better than many of us thought they might after the heartbreaking way they missed out on promotion last season. Only two teams, I think, now who are unbeaten in the league this season. One of them, Gillingham, who were top, needed, I think it was a 96th minute equaliser at Bromley yesterday. Let's get a few thoughts from the message boards and then we'll dive into everything. Leon Barber was first on today. Welcome win. Pato seemed like he watched the same game as me. Missed someone behind the front two. Keeper an issue. I don't believe we can carry on with him in goal. Well, it's difficult because I know when he didn't catch the ball, but he's got a clean sheet, and any goalkeeper will tell you, you get a clean sheet, that's your job. That's your job. So I think we've got to try and build up his confidence a little bit, go with him, and do the best that we can. Richard Elvian, slip ups from Keller don't breed confidence for anyone. Either side could have won that game, but we can't fault our tenacity or effort. Richard Elvian. Stuart Maynard's off to a good start. He must be chuffed. Yes, York won 3-1 at Yeovil yesterday. Morning from Karen Knight and from Kay. Morning from Wayne Wilkins. Not sure if he's in Barcelona or not. Morning, Paul and Flock. Nice idea with a Sunday supplement. The biggest compliment, says Shafitab, we can give yesterday's performance is that we played like we wanted to win rather than wanting to play well. I think that's a very good point. And I think that kind of gets to the heart of one of the discussions that we will be having today. I'll read it out again, Shafi. It was a good one. The biggest compliment we can give yesterday's performance is that we played like we wanted to win rather than wanting to play well. Lippy Jane, morning on the train home back to, I think it's Yorkshire, Lippy Jane, isn't it? I saw you weren't wearing your shirt yesterday, but what you won on a Magpie Circle competition, though you did wear it the previous week. It's a good job we won. Wayne, Ruse is becoming a major scapegoat. We know there's errors there, yet he's made 3 to 4 saves and kept a clean sheet. Yeah, look, I agree with you, Wayne. It's very easy to draw comparisons with Alex Bass, but we can't buy him back. We can't unsell him. This is what we've got, and I think that the challenge that Martin is addressing and relishing is that he's been given what he's got. How does he get the very best out of them? You know, we spoke a bit about alignment and recruitment on the Friday night show. If you've not already seen it, look, the reality, I think there's, I think there's very little alignment between Martin and the technical board, if I'm honest with you, in terms of recruitment. But we've got what we've got. Now we go with it. And Martin's a fairly pragmatic guy, and he's trying to do the very, very best with what he's got. And I think he's trying to create a formation, create a team, group of players, mirroring some of his characteristics in his own image and getting the best out of them. And a lot of the players that we've brought in, it does appear now that we signed Cerula and Gordon 14 months ago. And from what I can see, this is the first time we're playing both of them regularly in their rightful positions, i.e. not inverted. Fair play to Martin. He's looked at what he's got. And I don't think you can ask too much more of him at the minute. What else? Oh, we've suddenly had a load of messages in, and the keyboard's nearly conked out. Right, Terry Robertson felt we were too reluctant to go longer into the 2 strikers the first half. Was refreshing to hear Pato address this. Nigel Bosworth, morning. It was a good win, but we really needed it. Dave Hartshorn, morning. Decided to leave my seat in the cop for the day and do hospitality. The penalty for doing it, I missed the goal. So you were supping the free beer or the free vino, Dave, and didn't get back out quickly enough for that goal that came in the opening minute of the second half. I'm back in the cop next game, says Dave. Lippy Jane, I was socializing, as you do, before and after the game, so no shirt. Shafitab, it did appear like Pato has decided to use what we have, i.e. bringing on Traore to stretch the game, which I thought he did brilliantly, by the way. Morning from Andy Easom. Pitch played a part in the way we went about our business. Skipper was my man of the match once again. Great to have Robbo back playing and as combative and tough as we've come to expect. Morning from NCFC World. Dialing in from Royal Marlow, Rich Hawksworth makes the trip up from Marlow to the games. Proper fan. Good, solid League 2 win. I'd agree with that. I thought a lot more positive tackles, says Lippy Jane. Richard Hawksworth. Appears that Martin Patterson has already decided that several of our new signings are not up to it. And that, I think, is kind of part of the point or issue, or call it what you will, with alignment in recruitment. But I think equally, Rich, the reality is when you've got 20 players, which every squad has, you are going to have players you go to and players that, for want of a better phrase, end up in a bomb squad. Talking of which, interesting timing. Did we notice that Notch released the registered player list up until January? And the principal omission there is Jack Hinchy. Jack is not registered, and there was a sentence on the press release from the club that basically they're looking to place Jack elsewhere, most probably will be the conference or National League, to get some game time. So I guess, Rich, taking on board your point, that's certainly one player that Martin um, is not planning to use. The club have not put him in their squad. Now, those squads are quite complicated in terms of exactly how many you can have in terms of homegrown players, players under a certain age. And I think one or two people got a bit confused because there were no goalkeepers on the list that Notts put out. In the statement, it did say outfield players. So don't worry, we're not going to sign 3 free agent goalkeepers in the next 7 days or anything like that. It's only outfield players that have to be registered in this registration document for the EFL. Okay, keep sending your thoughts and views in. So one thing I wanted to discuss this morning, because I actually find this quite fascinating. And one of our flock, Rich's brother, actually, brothers in arms, he spoke. He said to me, "You've got to start your show by saying, discuss. We do not need to play well to win anymore." And I think the point there was when we won, it was beautiful football. We looked fantastic. We win 2 or 3-0, whatever. Now, very much in Martin Patterson's locker is the ability to win ugly. And I'm not going to say it was ugly yesterday, because when I go to watch Notts County, you can talk about in Gladiator being entertained. I am entertained when we win, and when we don't win, I'm not entertained and I'm not happy. So I thought it was a great ground out result. We were put under severe pressure in the last 20 minutes. I said to the guys next to me, John and Paul, went 1 up, didn't we? First minute of the second half. And then we had a real purple patch, and we had 2 or 3 other really good chances. I sound like Martin Patterson because he said exactly the same in his post-match. 1-on-1, keeper save from Jatta. There was a ball came across the box. Jatta didn't quite get the shot off. Cerula got it. We should have been 2 up, and then you really fancies to see out the game with a relative degree of comfort. But the moment we didn't score them, you kind of knew they would come back into it. And to be honest, we were hanging on for grim death at the end. But how many times, and this is the point I'm trying to make, how many times in the last 2 years in the EFL have we seen League Two clubs come to Meadow Lane, or we go to their place and we say, "Oh, they were rubbish. They got nothing. They've just got a few big centre halves. They kick the ball long. There's nothing." And at the end of the season, Bradford, Doncaster, Port Vale, and Wimbledon all go up. And we hardly have one good word as a collective group of Notts fans to say about any of them. We never say, "Oh, they're a cut above." It's not like Wrexham is a case in point, obviously, and Stockport, bigger budgets, much better teams. But we hardly have a good word to say about them. "Oh, they just kick it. They're agricultural." The reality is they were the best teams in the division, and they practiced and did what was needed to get promoted. And I think where we are moving away from being that outlier of being that team that has 70 to 80% possession, tippy tappy, 8 passes back to each other in our own final third. Head coach comes out and talks about how we dominated the ball. We were never in front all game, but apparently we dominated the ball, whatever that means. Garbage as far as I'm concerned. And I think Martin is more in line with playing a style of football that is needed to get out of League Two. Now, whether that he can do that this year, don't know, because I don't think we've collectively got, as it stands, as good a group of players. But I think we are much more aligned now with what I would call mainstream League Two football, and as such, I think with one or two better players, and I think January would be vital, and we're looking a long way ahead at the minute. Then we might stand a chance. Also, got to be very lucky with injuries as well, because we are threadbare down the spine of the team, and I don't think really we can absorb any injuries. Big Meat says real positive is that we saw the game out, tough defending. Yeah, Big Meat, and that's kind of a constituent part of what I'm talking about at the minute. We're doing things that historically we have found it difficult to do over several years now. What did we think, for instance, of Jatta and Dennis both starting up front? Do we think that is something that should become a regular occurrence? As one of our posters mentioned earlier, although we had two up top, we didn't necessarily get the ball in the final third that often in the first half, which again was something that Martin picked up on. Big Meech adds, momentum is everything. 10 points from the last 12 available, unbeaten in 4 games. Yeah, so personally, I would be a fan. Excuse me, having a slurp of coffee Sunday morning. Thank you. I've not woken up properly with my morning Costa just yet, so apologies. Yeah, where were we? The 2 9s. I like to see it. Obviously, you've got Jody Jones to factor in. Would we be? Jody's kind of played in that hole. If you're playing 2 9s, I think it's harder to accommodate Jody in that role. Cerula's done very well. Would you look at moving Jody Jones back wide left? These are kind of options that Martin's got, and I'm sure he would be actively considering. On the subject of Big Meech's point about seeing the game out, did you pick up on Martin's post-game press conference interview that he said on a Tuesday they have a session whereby they defend, where the session is actually overloading and defending, hanging on, not conceding goals, chances. So I thought that was quite interesting. We may well have done that before, but that didn't necessarily manifest itself out on the pitch a lot of the time. We've got a few messages coming in. Andy Easom, great comments by Martin, saying to them at halftime something along the lines of, I'm playing 2 up top and you're playing deep. There you go. Yeah, it's not just me. Shafitab, I agree, Paul. I'm not sure Jody makes our best team in this formation. There's a thought. I think the strongest attack will be Luca behind Dennis and Jatta. Not really sure we're going to be seeing much more of Jaden Luca. He's out for several weeks. I'm not sure he's around the building at the minute with his rehab. So I think you can realistically say he's not going to be around for a while. Q will be back next Saturday. Charlie Capewell, you could drop Norburn and put Iapenda back into midfield and then put Jody in the 10. Ian Alcott. Ian from Doncaster. Me and him were probably fighting 45 years ago at Greenwood and Manvers schools. There you go. He's a good lad and he proper fan. Ian says the more games Jatta and Dennis play, the better understanding they will have. Jones is better on the wing, 24 assists. Say that. I find it very hard to argue against that, Ian. Chris Gosling. I think the only role currently up for grabs for Jody is right wing back. I think Callan's done all right myself. The dreaded inverted word. I thought we was going to get through a program without it, Chris. Who adds? I thought Traore did very well coming on and helped push them back and give us territory. Yeah, and I thought it's a good point, Chris. And again, you know, I think that these are kind of traits of what I'm sure Martin Patterson doesn't want me to call him grizzled, but kind of old school um, types of way of playing. I thought we were great with the dark arts. Holt in that last 5 or 10 minutes, getting it into the corner, doggedly trying to win a throw, get them ratty. And also, I don't know whether he's a member of the flock. He probably is. Did we see the gentleman behind the cop with about 10 minutes to go? Ball's gone behind. Goalkeeper's gone to get a ball off one of the cones, puts it down. And as he retreats to take the kick, and I'm not advocating this, a Notts fan threw another ball onto the pitch. So the goalkeeper had to run and scamper across the 18-yard box. Places like Liverpool fans have done it for years. It's kind of fans knowing what is required at certain parts of the game. And I just thought we broke the game up really, really well. And you can call it dark arts. It's part of the game. Just think back to Wimbledon against us when they absolutely schooled us in the dark arts. And although it was a 2-game playoff, we were hardly ever in the game. So I thought, yeah, spot on. And Traore just doing that running well. We're not talking about, we seem to have been so governed and live by possession stance. You can almost see previous head coaches. They don't want players to run long because it doesn't help them with their possession stats. Said to you before, I'll say it again, because all these content creators and statos never like to admit how possession is calculated. And possession isn't calculated by Notts have the ball for 62 minutes of the game and as in yesterday, Fleetwood have it for 28. It's done by the completed number of passes. So if you pitter-patter, 10 passes, 3 yards apart, right? You've kept the ball for about 6 seconds, but you've done 10 passes. You lose it. The other team hit one long ball, have a shot and almost score. You've had 10 completed passes. They've had 1, right? So therefore, it's counted as 9% possession because we've had 10 completed passes out of 11. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But great that Traore. The whole idea was to stretch the game, keep them up the other end of the pitch. And I thought that last 10 minutes, I'll tell you who it reminded me of. Reminded me of a Martin Allen type team. This is a compliment, not an insult. In those closing stages, the ball seems to spend as much time out of the pitch as it is on it. Throw-ins, people running 50 yards to take the throw, this, that, and the other, and just not allowing Fleetwood any real momentum in those closing stages. So I thought it was great. Luke was in the director's box yesterday, says Big Meech. Was he? Very good. Andy Easom, Mr. Alcock and I. It's always funny, the flock and the community that we are. There's all sorts of links to people. Mr. Alcock and I attended Ellis Guildford together, an accredited boxing coach these days. Indeed, he is. Absolutely been speaking with him. He was at Ellis Guildford, and then he ended up for Manvers for a bit, Andy. I'm not sure his attendance record, as he told me, was very good at Manvers, but anyway. Big Meech Traore has great energy. He came on and stretched the game. I really want him to score. Chris Gosling, I think we're seeing that we have players who can play with intensity for 60 of minutes of energy, but more need to come off the bench. I think as well. The manager, I think, has brought more fitness I think he runs them hard. And I think one of the things he's changed is a much higher intensity when they're on the pitch. So go for as hard as you can, as long as you can, and we've still got people off to come off the bench. And the Eason ref didn't help our cause once again. Look, I didn't think he was great, Andy, but I think it's too easy just to say every week refs are really poor. I thought the guy at Tranmere, was only a young lad. I thought he was really good because I think he tried to allow a lot of coming togethers that normally a referee would blow for. And I thought at Tranmere, and there were things that I'm sure we would disagree with and Tranmere would disagree with, but I thought he was trying to keep the game flowing. So I thought he was a good one. Rich Hawksworth, we absolutely need to be getting the best out of Jody, given we are weaker this season from a quality and creativity angle. I think that's a very good point, Rich. Very good point. Ref was awful, Andy, says Chris Gosling. Okay, let's just develop one or two other points. So we've seen mid-table looking steady, I think it's fair to say. Of the 7 games, I think we've only 2 of them have been against teams that are currently above us in the table. That would be Salford and Bromley. So we have played some of the bottom end teams. I think the next few weeks are going to be quite interesting. We've got, as Chris has mentioned, momentum. I think each game you play as a professional footballer and you win, you get a bit more confidence. You get a bit more trust in your players. You understand your jobs a little bit more. So I think that momentum is there. But we've got some tough games coming up. I think Gillingham and Crewe are our next 2 away games. And historically, since we came back into the Football League, one of our big Achilles heels has been our results and performances against our fellow promotion chasing teams, as it then was. In fact, they were pretty terrible. Do we think now, with a tweaked system or substantially changed, which depending on your point of view, that we're going to be better equipped to play the teams around us who we would be anticipating would be the teams most likely to fill the promotion positions? Personally, I think Gillingham are going to be there. Good manager, been round the block, knows the game. So I think that will be a tough one. Crewe seem to have had all sorts of quite incredible results this season and done very well. So I think it's going to be quite interesting. Gillingham unquestionably will be our biggest test coming up. Let's see how we get on. Ian Alcock, my attendance was not very good at school, I must admit. Great attendance at Meadow Lane, which built my character more. Love it, Ian. Love it. Pie face. That was one in the eye for Pete Wild. Time and time again, have seen his teams visit Meadow Lane, sportingly shake the Notts players' hands after waltzing off with the 3 points. Not this time. Yeah, the other guy we need to sort out, although he's already done us at Meadow Lane this season, is Carl Robinson, isn't it? Andy Eason, I think the skipper's set piece kicks have taken an upturn. Chris Gosling, I think Palmer's all-round game has been much more on it this season. I've never kind of got the, some people view Palmer as the best player, some view him as the worst. For me, he's a 7, 8 out of 10 just about every game. I think he probably suffered more than most last season when Jody wasn't there for the creativity moving forward. But I think he's been very, very steady and consistent overall this season. Chris Gosling. Haven't Gillingham got the current longest unbeaten run in England? I don't know. All I do know is that stat about the only football league club we've never beaten was Fleetwood, has now finally been dispatched. Uh, Andy Esom, skip for me, top guy. He's had a huge resurgence. Paul Farnsworth, great to see all the additional content from ourselves. Thank you very much for that. We'll keep doing what we can when we can. Now I have divested myself of being manager of Magpie United in the top division of MPAL. I do have a little bit more time on Sunday mornings, so yeah, we'll potentially look to do these on a regular basis. Chris Gosling, yeah, Stato, just checked, and yes, they are currently 19 unbeaten. So wouldn't it be a great time to go there and beat them? Eh? And you know what? I think in a funny way, Martin will really relish that. I think he'll get the lads wound up. This lot of 19 unbeaten. You show them. You prove we're the first team. We're gonna be the first team to beat them in what it would be 20 matches, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think yeah, I think he might quite fancy it. Uh, Andy Esom, 17 matches without a clean sheet banished. Is that what it is? Is that what it is, Andy? Ian Alcott, we need to see more of Tyrese Hall. He's class. Yeah, he's been used fairly economically so far, hasn't he, Ian? Lippy Jane, yes, also in the right place on the pitch, which is a skill in itself. Excuse me. What do we think of the pitch yesterday? Yeah, I mean, I think we all thought, didn't we, when we saw that? Was it Thursday? The club put out the statement, pitch inspection. I think we all thought, right, hang on a minute, dark arts here. We're going to try and get the game off. We managed it when we got was there a tile fell off the scoreboard when a 2-mile-an-hour gust of wind knocked it off. So I mean, that's got to be one of the best ones to get a game off. And I think we all thought, oh crikey, it's going to be off. But it was on. My first reaction, and I did a bit of a video when I saw it from the corner, admittedly not high up. I didn't think it was too bad. When I got higher up in the pavis from where I watched the game near the press box, it it did look a lot sandier. I mean, my understanding from the club is that this possibly might get worse before it gets better. I think it's quite a very contagious or virulent strain, or whatever you want to call it. Did you think it affected performance? Worked in our favour, worked against us yesterday? I'm not sure it had that much of a difference. I think cosmetically, it did look. Actually, the more I watched the game, the more I thought, yeah, not sure about this. But hey ho, these things happen. What else? Chris Gosling, Wild Thing versus the Wild Card Saturday. I think that's something to do with Gareth Ainsworth, isn't it? He has his own little band and all of that, an aging rocker. I've met him a few times. He's a really nice guy. He's a really nice guy. Great football man. And I think I did actually say Gillingham would be in my tips to get automatic this year, didn't I, at the start of the season? It's probably the only one that's right at the minute. But yeah, I think yeah, someone's just said there, maybe put a marker down if you can get a result against them. And I think people would really start to be to believe, if you like. Andy Esom. It looked like an end of season after Nottingham Rugby Football Club had been on it too. The local pigeons were flocking in for a seed feast towards the end of the game. What else have we got? Yeah, I mean, looking at other results, I guess MK Dons, all the, I mean, well, it is seven figures they've spent, isn't it? Not quite going in terms of that runaway start that I think probably quite a few other people thought. We've mentioned Walsall. Shrewsbury got a result yesterday, didn't they? 3-1 at Barnet. Accrington look as if they could be in for a season of struggle. But yeah, look, early days. We're still three off. Estelle always says, "Look at this. Look at the league after 10 games. Um, three more to go." But I think we're in a much better position than we might have hoped for after 2 or 3 games. That's for sure. Okay. Right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up, I think, because we've had a reasonable chat. Um, Later in the week, so Monday night, myself and Stel will be dissecting the weekend. This is the civilians' view. We'll get the professionals' view tomorrow from Stel at 7 o'clock. The vlog from yesterday is online if you want to watch that. The Friday Night Live is still available. Thanks as always to our official partners, JH Accountants, and also to the Big Shed at the Trent Navigation for all their support. And we hope to be able to announce those full details of a return of Radi Avramovic to Nottingham on the weekend of the 24th and the 25th of October. Our plan, not 100% set in stone yet, but mark the date, 24th, Friday night at the Navigation. Radi and special guests from that era for one of our live. Well, it's kind of it's a live show. We don't actually broadcast them. So if you are of a vintage that remembers Radi, Ian McCulloch, Trevor Christie, Paul Hooks, Tristan Benjamin, Mark Goodwin, Rashid Harkook, Ian McParland, then that is one to make sure you are at. And the plan is for Radi to be guest of honour at the home game with Cambridge. It'll be the first time Radi has set foot in Nottingham for over 20 years. And keep an eye out for him with the Serbia-England game on is it Tuesday or Wednesday, the England game? Yeah, Radi's been invited by the Serbian FA as one of the main guests for that match. So keep an eye out for him. Quick last few messages on the message board. Yeah, Andy Eastham says, in Jacob, I'd not heard this, in Jacob Beddoes' post-match chat, he intimated that we had to alter the way we played somewhat. Look, it might be me not a bee in the bonnet, but I Martin has to tread carefully, okay, in terms of alignment with technical board. I don't think Martin is very different to most of us in the way that he sees football. I think he sees it in a certain way. I think he sees it actually in a different way to perhaps our owners' blueprint for our philosophy and Roberto Gagliardi. So Martin's got to tiptoe a bit and amend, tweak. He talks about tweaks. I think it's fairly wholesale, and I think it will continue to change more to a stereotypical League Two promotion winning capable team, and that for me is a compliment, not an insult. Dave Hart, Sean, thank you, Paul. Nice way to spend Sunday morning. Ian Alcock, yeah, Ian's obviously had enough. Go on, Paul, get down to Costa. Andy Eason, will there be added guests with Radi? That's the plan. I've got to mobilise the 81 group, but this, as I say, is Radi's first visit. He's due to be coming over with his wife Bratislava as well. His first visit for over 20 years. Andy Eason, Killer's got a place down in Cornwall now, Andy. So again, I'm going to try and get Killer to come up. The only, unless someone's going to prove me wrong, the only Nottingham-born footballer to captain an FA Cup final winning team. There you go. I think that's right. I think that's right. NCFC World, are the tickets up for sale? Not yet. Well, I've got a meeting with the club Monday and with the Navi, and we're hoping to be able to announce things towards the end of this week. But please, I'd like us as many people as possible to come along and see Raddy on Friday at the Navi. You know, he's a hero of mine. That group of players is, without question, for me at any rate, the best group of players this club has had post World War. So, you know, do what you can to come and see Raddy. I think that's a wrap for this morning. Thank you very much. Off for me, Costa. I will see you all together with Mark Stallard on Monday evening. Thank you very much for joining us for the supplement. Have a coffee, whatever it is you're doing Sunday morning, go for a walk, but just enjoy a weekend in which Notts County have won, because that does half make the weekend a heck of a lot better. Thanks as always to our official partners, JH Accountants and the Big Shed at the Trent Navigation. See you all on Monday evening. Thank you again. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.